We all love to draw our OCs, to the point where we ignore our other responsibilities, like practicing backgrounds. We can't keep getting away with drawing our OCs in a plain white background. It's just sad. I mean, just look at her. Is she not lonely? To be fair, many of us may not have the time to put into trying to learn perspectives and stuff like that. But if you ask me, that's really only necessary for the complex ones. So there's no excuse for simple ones. So let's do some background studies. I've been experimenting a lot when it comes to painting backgrounds. I've tried the typical line art first, painting afterwards. This is the method I use the most for making background. And I've also tried the full-on no line art at all. I think I've only done that twice. There's pros and cons to both. Some may say it's restricting to paint within the confines of the line art, but I say it's comforting. A lot of the time you can remove the line art and it still looks like a decent piece. A negative for the line art is the line art takes a really long time to complete. When painting with no line art, it usually takes me less time to complete the piece, but it can be overwhelming having the freedom to paint the way that you want. So we're going to try both methods and see which one works for me. Let's get started. Don't be afraid to look at other artists' work for references. There was a time during the early stages of my art journey where I would avoid looking at works of other artists. This was mainly because I was afraid that it would discourage me from working harder as opposed to inspire me. But the problem with that is that eventually you'll get to a point where you won't know how to draw certain things because you only have your own brain to go off of. Seeing other artists' work and how they approach their process can give you some insight as to how you can approach your own process. We'll start off with something relatively simple. This is the reference image. It looks simple, right? I'm going to use the no line art method with this one and we'll see what happens. For now I'm just going to use the rough outline of the reference just so I have an idea of how it looked color wise before we move on to the next step. Okay, so this is where I'm going to have to start trusting the process here, because it doesn't seem to look like much right now. I don't even know what to do next. It's been a while since I last drew a background without any line art, so let's see how I approached it for this artwork. Okay, so it looks like after some very basic blocking, I just go straight into details. But notice how the details aren't too detailed. I think that might be the style I'll go for. But knowing me, I might just stray away and do my own thing. Do you think it's sad that I'm studying my own artwork? Okay, so I went straight into the details for the house. It gives me a rough idea of the style that I'm going for. Part of the next house is covered by a tree and some bushes, meaning that I don't need to add the details to the parts that'll be covered. Now I just need to brighten the highlights and darken the shadows, so it looks a bit more contrasty. Looking good. Now let's finish off the other houses. Yeah, the houses are definitely too big. Let's decrease the sizes. Okay, and this is it. I pushed the overall painting down a bit because I thought it looked better that way. This took me 10 hours to complete, which is a bit longer than I would have liked, to be honest. Now that I think about it, 10 hours is just too long. The main goal for the next painting will be to complete at least half the time. Since we did no line art for the first artwork, for the next piece, I'll use minimal line art. This is the reference. As you can see, the flat colours are done. The camera's making it look blue, but this is what it actually looks like. You can also see the subtle line art. This is what it looks like without the base colours. Right now I'm doing the rough shadows and highlights to see how the overall piece will look like. This piece was really just focusing on speed, so I didn't really go into detail much. Unlike the first one, I like how this one looks from a distance. I think it's more to do with the composition of the reference, as opposed to the way I painted each piece. The second reference image looks way better than the first. Okay, that's 2 backgrounds done. Wait, I didn't do one with my OCs in it. This is the reference. I chose this reference for the next painting because it's an example where, at least for me, I would need to do the full line art drawing. For my OC, I'll use Sky again and her friend. I'm ashamed to admit that the line art for this took me over 3 hours. So with that in mind, I'll try to render quickly. I ended up taking my sweet time. Oh well. It doesn't feel right. That's better. Interestingly, the artwork where I used the line art and the artwork where I didn't use line art both took around the same time to complete, which is different from my past attempts at drawing backgrounds. This piece, for example, took me around 5 to 6 hours to complete, but then again, those were the early stages of my art journey, where I'd focused purely on painting the backgrounds with no distractions. Nowadays I have to take a break like every 20 minutes. Anyways, out of the three, I think this one's my favourite. Even though it looks simple, it turned out really well despite me rushing to complete it in under 2 hours. It seems like using line art and not using line art are both useful. Just depends on your preference. But yeah, thank you for watching to the end. Bye.